Well, good morning, everyone, and it's time right now to join our mayor, Clint live here at City Hall on a beautiful, a little crisp Friday morning, just the way we like it. The wind chill about a -2. Now, again, this is our monthly chat with the mayor. I'm John Montgomery with our good friend Clint Lamb. Nice to see you, my friend.
Johnny Montgomery, not to be confused with John Michael Montgomery,
Yes,
the country singer.
That's okay.
That's your cousin. There you go. You've heard that joke a time or two.
Just a little bit.
Welcome and good morning to the folks in Radio Land. Good morning to the folks tuning in on Facebook Live this morning and the folks that are going to be tuning in here very soon on YouTube. Because, you know, John, we've mentioned this before, so there's the shameless plug for the City of Sullivan YouTube channel. We have different social media sources. You can always follow the City of Sullivan on Twitter. You can follow it on Instagram. You can follow the City of Sullivan on Facebook. And we've got 2 cameras here. So if I look like I'm looking a little to the off, I'm trying to look right into the middle here. But so yeah, we have multiple social media sources and digital media sources. So yeah. So welcome to you folks watching live. Welcome to the folks that are going to be watching archived here. And welcome to the folks in WNDI 95.3 Radio Land. All this is brought to you by, as John mentioned in the commercial stated, Country Financial. Brian and Gina Mills, Country Financial, located across from the, we say this every month,
yes.
But John, this could be, I don't want to jinx it, could be the last show in this facility sitting here in the current mayor's office at 32 North Court Street.
That's big.
Country Financial is located right across the street from here, and you can see them for all your financial needs and insurance needs. But we hope to be coming to you live in the month of March from 110 North Main Street at the upcoming new City Hall. So exciting stuff. We can kind of talk about that today, talk about some of the projects from 2022, going into 2023, what's continued. And of course, we always have different events going on. John, a little bit different show. We're kind of back to our old roots here, right?
It's just you and me.
It's just you and me, baby.
That's how it's been, boy.
That's what I tell my kids. It's you and me versus the world, babies. Let's go.
Well, that's what, 12, 13, 14, whatever years it's been. My goodness. This has been one of the best things we've ever had on WNDI. It's been one of the most popular things we've had on WNDI. So, you know, we've had people down through the years say, why don't you do it every week? And I know we can't really do that.
Busy schedules. And as much as great things are going on, I feel like sometimes we're in repeat mode, just the way it is on social media now and on our show. But, you know, that's part of it, right? A lot of the stuff is repetitive. It's the same overall community development, but yet just kind of different factions and different things like that.
Yeah, but look at where we are now, Clint, to where we were when we first started this show in our city.
I'm going to double check this. Yeah.
Look at where everything, look at the progress that has been made. Look at the I mean, I don't know where to begin. I guess it all starts with the Civic Center, but I mean, from there to where we are right now, it's an amazing accomplishment of progress in this relatively short time that has been done to our city by you and the Relevant Commission. I mean, everybody involved.
So many different factors. I appreciate your kind words this morning. Yeah, it really has. It's been unprecedented. You know, folks 12 years ago couldn't even fathom, right? January 1st, 2012, when we came into office and our team came together and the citizens stepped up during that time. Yeah, it was just a magical time, and the magic continues. You know, so many times you see the honeymoon's over, right? You come in and everybody's fired up at first, and things start to die down. But that's not happened here in the City of Sullivan. You know, so many good people have come together between the City Council, like you said, the Redevelopment Commission, the Chamber has strengthened, the Tourism Commission. So many organizations that we talk about month in and month out. All the civic groups that we've had on the show over the years. There's just an energy, right? And it doesn't go away. You know, everybody laughs at our cliches and our hashtags, but, you know, it came to us a few months ago that so many things are going on here in this great community, and it's very special. And it's not just special, it's Sullivan special. So you see that hashtag Sullivan special, you know. I know in the past campaigns we've had Sullivan's comeback continues and this and that. Well, guess what? There is no comeback. We're back, right? We're back, and we're better. You know, we're a better community, and there is no more comeback. It's a continuation now of growth, right? We've come back, and now where do we go from here? So, yeah, John, a lot of great things have happened. So many, too many to mention, but it's all because of hardworking people that have come together and done these things. So.
Do you believe in the principle that if you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards?
You think?
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing stays the same, right?
You can't stay this way. You're either going this way or this way.
Right, exactly. When people say, well, we like it the way it is. Well, unfortunately, when people liked it the way it was for so many years, it actually was changing. They just didn't see it. And I always told people, if you like it the way it is, then you have to work very hard just to maintain, right? Let alone grow. I mean, I've used this analogy many, many times here on the show that, I didn't, and I always use Kennedy. Of course, I love all 5 of my kids. She's the oldest, so you see the difference in transformation there as far as physical life. I said, I didn't realize my daughter was, in her 20s until I looked at her second grade picture, right? Now, I was there every day, right? I was with her. I was cheering in the stands at soccer games, and I could say the same thing about Dawson and cross country or Nevaeh or Jocelyn or Hadley, all of them. So I have to mention all of them there. But I always say, I said, I didn't realize Kennedy was going to be 22 until you look at her second grade picture, because in our eyes, we still see our kids. Dawson's down in Florida, right? And, he's beefing up. He's not quite the scrawny little cross-country runner that he was at one time. And you don't notice those changes because you're with them every day until you look back. And it's the same with the City of Sullivan. We're here every day, right? I'm always so inspired when people come back home, right? Maybe people that have moved away. Maybe they're home for a class reunion. Maybe they're home for the Corn Festival. Maybe they work out of town, which we have a lot of folks that live and reside here in Sullivan, but maybe they travel and they're gone for a few months at a time for their work. And when they come back home, one of the things that I'm always inspired the most, they said, every time we come home, something's different. Something's changed. Now, we don't see it because when you get up in the morning and you drive down Washington Street around the square and you're on your way down to Wndi, sure, you see the guys out, whether it's sweeping the streets or picking up, or the gentleman on the cart out pushing, picking up trash. You see it every day. So we almost get used to it. And I hate to go this far, but one thing I found in the mayor's office that we've almost become a little content and spoiled with it. We were content with mediocrity. We were content with the downward spiral. And while the excitement and enthusiasm still there, sometimes we're just kind of like, oh, it's just another grant announcement. Oh, just another one. It's Tom Brady, who's just retired here recently, right? He's a prime example. Like, it's so hard. Hey, you're the 3rd round pick, and then you get picked to go into the NFL, right? That's a big deal.
Sure.
And then you become pretty solid. And then you win a Super Bowl, right? And it's harder than heck to get to the Super Bowl, let alone win the thing.
Yeah.
Try winning 5 or 6.
Yes.
And that's always my sports analogy, that it's hard enough to win the big one, but how do you win 5, 6 seasons in a row? Very few teams have been able to do it, right?
Sure.
We know a few. We know a few, what do we call them? Dynasties.
Sure.
The Cowboys in the 90s, the 49ers in the 80s, the Steelers in the 70s.
Sure. Celtics in the 60s.
And 80s again. And, so we know.
Yankees.
But they weren't multiple decades, right? We keep winning. So I'm going to brag a little bit. Here in the City of Sullivan, we keep winning.
Sure.
Right? We won early on, and we just keep winning every year. However, it is so difficult. It is just as hard today, if not harder, to continue the progress as it was to grab those low-hanging fruits back in 2012 and 2013. But, I attribute a lot of it. I always go back to the comprehensive master plan. Matter of fact, on the city's social media this week, there was a picture of a group of dedicated individuals that were at the table, literally at the Civic Center, and they were putting together the city's updated comprehensive master plan.
Okay.
I've said many times before, we hadn't had a comprehensive master plan since 1945.
Okay.
Right. It was updated in 1968 because of the Sullivan County Park and Lake. And then it wasn't updated until 2013, right? Okay. And it was a 2-year cycle. We had town hall forums and community gatherings and this and that. And everything you're seeing in the city is so much more than a mayor. It's a community that came together and said, you know what, we're going to get serious about stopping this decline. And we're going to get serious about putting a stamp down on the apathy, right? That's exactly what happened, and it came out of the comprehensive master plan. So all we're doing, John, is working the plan. There's no politics. There's no partisanship. Now, some folks want to make it that way, hashtag Death Squad. Yeah. They might try to throw that out, and it's silliness, right? Because the people of this community have said enough is enough. If we wanted to see that crap, we'd turn on the TV, right? And that's the magic here. That's what's happening. That's why it's so special. That's why it's Sullivan special, because I know it's kind of a long-winded introduction of what we always talk about, but it's the truth. It's people that just genuinely took time to care. A cliche, a slogan that was put in the 1970s that is being lived here today in 2023.
We had a lot of things.
Cheers to you.
Cheers to you, my friend. We had a lot of things that happened in 2022, obviously in City of Sullivan, that were very good, very beneficial, very productive. And now we're in 2023.
We are.
Maybe not all of the projects you wanted to get done in 2022 got done for different reasons. I mean,
Sure.
a multitude of reasons.
Oh, so many.
So as we go into 2023 now, we're in February, and you know how time goes. We'll be in December like this.
Yeah.
What do you hope to get accomplished or move forward with?
So one of the things that the Comprehensive Master Plan team was talking about last week, if you saw in there, what have we accomplished, right? A successful business, a successful sports team sets a plan, right?
Right.
You know, failing to plan is planning to fail. I really believe in that. And you have to have a plan, but that plan can't just sit on the shelf. It has to be an executed playbook. And you have to reevaluate every so often. I'm sure WNDI looks at their statistics halfway through the year.
Right.
Are we the same as we were last year? And your ball games and how many you got to get to? I know the other night you switched from one game was canceled and you switched over. You're always moving. You always have a game plan in place. You execute the plan. And that's what the city's tried to do. But you have to reevaluate. And that's what we've done. So one of the questions, quite frankly, what did we do? And what has fallen through the cracks? Because you can set a 4-year agenda. At the beginning of every term, you kind of set a 4-year agenda, right? You give the overall. And then you set a yearly agenda. Well, we want to do this. We want to do that. And then you have to go back and reevaluate. And I was proud to say that I think in our last comprehensive master plan, we were like at 80% completion of the 4-year agenda. And we're nearly 100% of the things that we set out to do. We're either have completed or now they are started or they are starting this year in 2023. Of the comprehensive master plan from 2012 and 13. Okay, so that's why we're like, we got to come up with another plan. The vision's still there, the burning desire, the passion's still there, but now what does Sullivan look like for the next decade? And that's what I challenge citizens to really think about. You know, we live in a society where it's all about now. We go through the drive-thru. We want that cheeseburger our way right away. We want that coffee right now. When we send somebody a text, we expect, why did it take you 30 minutes to text me back? When we get instant gratification, instant social media, and that's not the way the real world actually is. And that's not the way the City of Sullivan can be. I mean, we want some quick wins. We have a lot of fun at these monthly. Just last month in January, they had a fabulous snowball at the Civic Center. The Heart of Sullivan's getting ready to do the dueling pianos. Now there's going to be a, beer, wine, beer, and Q or barbecue going on in June. And we can get into all that happening this year. The Corn Fest coming back. So many great May Days is being planned for downtown. So we have the quick hits. But what's that long-term look like? It started off saying Sullivan needs more community events. They need more gatherings. We need the synergy. We need the activity. And now, boom, 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 we're hitting them. But those things didn't just happen, right? Those things just didn't fall into place. So, you know, having said all that, keeping your eye on the big picture. And that's the challenge of the mayor's office. You can get down in the weeds and you can get on your computer and you can go back and forth or you're in this and that, and you can continue to fight and do these things. But you have to have that vision and you have to always know what the greater good really is about. What is the end result here? So that's so important. And I know a lot of this is probably common sense, but it's so important to step back sometimes and really reevaluate and think about those things.
Well, let's touch upon a couple of things there, Clint. I mean, you mentioned a minute ago there were things that happened in 2022 that maybe didn't get done, and you're hoping to finish up in 2023 or to get started in 2023. What would be some of those? Sure.
Obviously, we were awarded the READY money last year, the $4.3 million. So that $4.3 million, and I'll give a toot to the West Central 2025. The Regional Development Authority here that have been working through the American Rescue Plan and then through the Holcomb administration and the IEDC. I mean, you talk about that partnership of different organizations, federal to state, to the regional, to the local level that had made these things possible. Where $1 million you saw was awarded to the Sullivan City Pool.
Right.
We've talked about that numerous times on the show. And we were able to complete construction, mostly construction. We had kind of a part-time year there, but this year will be our first full season to really get in there and hit it hard where people can really see the full potential of the Sullivan City Pool. Okay, so there was the $1 million. We also received $1.5 million for the Central Plaza Corridor. Well, the Central Plaza Corridor, you're seeing here, whether that's the 102 and 104 Historic Preservation, I will give you an update on that. It's going to sit still for a while, and there's a reason. So you're not going to see activity for a while, and I'll get into that.
Okay.
But you saw you saw that part of the Central Plaza Corridor and the plaza itself with the archway and things like that. So I would love to tell you that for sure that you're going to see a shovel on the ground on the plaza itself. There's just still a few things that we have to piece together, but I feel pretty confident that the archway of the Central Plaza, the greeting as you come down that you've seen in the renderings, and when you come down Main Street, will get started. But one thing you definitely saw is the Sullivan City Hall project, right? It's coming to fruition. Somebody corrected me. I guess I used to use the word fruition. I put an extra R in there. So that's why I said fruition, okay? I said, just something about you I just picked up that you always say this. And you're wrong.
You can't get by with anything, Clint.
And you're wrong. There's a lot of things I say on Saturday night. You and I have had a few words in here. that has now come to fruition.
Yeah, that's
fruition.
True. That's true.
But no, the Sullivan City Hall, because the council chambers will also be able to use for community engagement, community events from the plaza. It has public restrooms. Stop. At the City Hall. So that's a part of that corridor. The police station is a part of that corridor that takes you from the square down to the plaza. So those are some things you're going to see continued progress there in 2023. And then last but not least, the one that we've all been talking about and people scratch their heads, is this thing ever going to happen? And that's the hotel project, right? The downtown hotel project. And, once again, a piano could fall out of the sky, John, when I walk out here. So I hate to say that it's 100% done, but I will say this. The hotel project is as close as it's been since it was supposed to be constructed back in 2020. So, this was a reality. This was truly one of those pandemic swallow this thing up, right? I mean, we were done. It was financed. It was approved. There were stakes in the ground, flags. They were ready to bring excavators over around November of. There was a design release from the state of Indiana. So, I mean, things were moving forward. November of 2019, we were wanting to put a shovel on the ground around April. February, we were getting geared up. March of 2020, we all know what happened, and the entire world came to a stop. So we're back on track. We are at that same point, not flags in the ground quite yet, but we are hoping, and I always hate to give dates, within the next 3 to 4 months to have an official statement and wrap this thing up. So I'm hoping it's before that, but I'm trying to give it a little bit of leverage.
But speaking of the hotel, we had a really good meeting about that at the Civic Center in January, where we had a variety of people showed up, different businesses and different organizations, and the overwhelming feeling was, this is exciting, this is great, can't wait to get it done.
Very exciting. And I think the message that day, it's not the mayor's hotel, right? People say, well, it's the mayor's this, or it's the mayor's... Everything we do, this is for the community to embrace, because this is the shelf life, right? And regardless if we want to believe it or not, John Montgomery's not going to own WNDI forever, right? Sure. And Clint Lamb's not going to be the mayor forever. Right. That's just the way it is. That's the real world. There are seasons of change, right? And Deuteronomy talks about that, right? The different changes in the seasons of life. And that's part of it. But the most important message here today is that's going to be Sullivan's Hotel. And it's going to be in the heart of the community. It's going to be the county seat, the center of the county, and it's going to be in the center of the city, right? And it's going to be the people, it's going to be the organizations and the businesses that have to step up and support that. City pool, that's not just the city pool, right? It's a regional draw. It's a county draw. And the people have to step up and take ownership of these things. So, but yeah, you mentioned that meeting just last week, okay? And I know there was some videography and some pictures taken that day, so stay tuned. There's another plug on the City of Sullivan Facebook page. I believe there was some pictures that were documented that day that you will see in the coming weeks. You know, a lot of times we have so many events going on. We get there on the scene to take pictures to report to the public, but there's so many things already in the works that you might see it a week later or 2 weeks later. So stay tuned for that. But the reason of that luncheon was because of the feasibility study, right? So you talked about the demand. So I kind of want to mention, not to get into the weeds, because I found out in this office that only a select few care about the details. And usually the ones that really want to know every detail really don't want to know every detail. They want to try to stir and spark and you know, that, you know, whatever, for their own personal propaganda and political agendas. However, I will get into some details here. That to have a hotel, and this is very important to note, it's not that the mayor woke up one day and said, "Oh, I think we need a hotel downtown," right? Yeah. It was a long, complicated, laid out strategic process of a lot of feedback. As we stated at the meeting, we kept personal logs of everybody that came to Sullivan and had the need and the demand for lodging. We started that internally. Then we hired a firm to come in because we talked to some hotel developers and they said, "This sounds great. It looks like it's going to be a good thing," but they recommended that we had an actual feasibility study completed, something documented that with all the statistics, the data, the demographics, showing the occupancy, the daily rates, things like that. So the City Redevelopment Commission took that step and they put together that plan. Well, like I mentioned, John, that plan was put together in 17 and 18 for the 19 approval and the 2020 supposed to be construction.
Right, yes.
Well, for funding purposes and for our own peace of mind, you have to update that plan. They can't use the 2017 plan or the 2018 plan to build a hotel in 2023. Right. So the purpose for that luncheon that day, we brought the company back for an updated feasibility study. And we needed to hear from influencers and like yourself and the chamber and all the organizations that were represented that day, different wedding venues from around you know, the school corporation, the hospital. There was just, you know, DNR. There were so many different people there at the table. Brampton Brick. I mean, we could keep going on about all the different. We had county officials. We even had Jackie Monk from the county council that was there that day. So that was inspiring to see. Yeah, really. To see the county, city, some of these different things coming together. We know there's a lot of big opportunities here in Sullivan County. It's been very well documented in the Daily Times and also in other media of the solar. You know, that it's coming. The things happening at Hallador, the Bitcoin happening at Miram, potentially the breed plant up at Northeast School Corporation coming back online or returning. And I don't want to get too much into the details because I don't know all the details, right? But these are the reports we're hearing. And all that will be a driver. It'll be an economic driver of activity. It'll be power on the power grid, but it'll also be power in the local economy. Absolutely. It will fuel the local economy. And they're all going to need a place to stay. And that's kind of why we're kind of under the gun here. We're trying to do the best we can to expedite that. I know it's a lot of information, and that's just the feasibility study and some of the things coming. A lot of folks don't realize we live in a world that has been simplified on. People think they can govern with a tweet. They think that they can give their opinion, and elected officials and private citizens both think that they can explain things on a Facebook post. Well, John, we don't have enough hours on this show. We don't have enough hours in the 12 years or however many we've been on this show to really explain the full detail. I always say in this office, it's like thread to needle. You really are. You're just all the time. And you have to have 50 irons in the fire. It's not wishful thinking. It's not the crazy dreams of a crazy mayor. It's just things that so many factors happen globally, economically, locally, politically. And believe it or not, it's not always somebody's fault. Sometimes, you know, the old saying,
just happens.
Just happens, right? So it just happens, and there is, you know, there's no one thing. Just a lot of different things come in and play into a lot of the things we do.
You mentioned a minute ago about 102, 104 not being touched for a while, and you're going to say why?
Yeah, thank you for reminding me of that. Yeah, that's been a blessing and a curse, right?
Yeah,
it's one of those things that we wanted to do our absolute best of historic preservation. You hear that all the time here in the city. Oh, I miss the old buildings, or I miss this and that. So, whether it's that building, whether it's another building on the square or whatever the case may be, John, here's my venting here a little bit or explaining. It's funny because they say somebody needs to do something. How many times do we hear that?
Oh, absolutely. All the time.
Somebody.
Yeah.
Who the hell is somebody,
Really.
right?
I like to meet somebody.
I'm waiting on somebody, and I'm waiting on they.
Yeah.
They. I've yet to meet they, but they were saying,
Yes.
and they, if you're watching today, if you could pop up and comment here on the show, I'd like to meet somebody, and I'd like to meet they. So if you could post on here real quick, comment, you or they, please let me know. But so folks say they, well, then when the they doesn't arrive, it's, well, the city. The city. Well, who's that? You mean me? Yeah. You mean the council? You mean the park board? I mean, who do you mean by that? Yeah. Well, the city needs to step up and do this. So when the city does step up and do these things and try to preserve and save, and you start to put money into these dinosaurs, right? And you open walls and pumpkin brick starts to crumble, and not just this building, but others, but this building in particular. You essentially have to rebuild the building. Mm-hmm. You're saving a facade is what you're saving.
Yeah, yeah.
And sometimes you wonder, should have you just torn down and started all over? Well, construction prices are, they might get you there. But if you try to restore, at least you have some historic preservation. I mean, then the City Redevelopment Commission does step up and start to do some things and start to invest some grant money and local funding into these things. And then you get to a point where, gosh, you've seen the movie Money Pit,
Yeah.
Then you got into this, and then you make this, and this. So, and then folks will come to you and say, city government has no business being involved in the private buildings, in the private sector, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, well, this group says that you need to do something. You're no good son of a gun if you don't do something. And if you say, okay, then we'll let it crumble. Because, my ideology is I'm not all for big government and doing everything, but at the same time, there has to be a happy median. Believe it or not, there is middle ground. Mm-hmm. Shocker. If you didn't hear anything today on the show, there really is a gray area. Yeah. Not everything's black and white, and there is middle ground where I'm a firm believer that government isn't this mysterious creature that's out to get you, right? Now, I can't say that I agree with everything that the federal or state government does, but at the end of the day, the government is people, right? They're people. And there needs to be a happy median, a public-private partnership, which is what 102 and 104 has become.
Okay.
Where the City Redevelopment Commission tries to get it to a certain point. Now, to finish on this topic, the City Redevelopment Commission could go in and fund the entire thing. But as of last Friday, and I'm probably talking prematurely here, and I'm going to have some discussions, but here's an announcement that has not been publicly announced yet on the city's social media or here locally. But the Indiana Housing Community Development Authority awarded a group that we've partnered with, T&H Investments out of Indianapolis area, up to a $14 million housing project, at which we've kind of alluded to on the show before,
right.
Of tax credits towards the houses. Now, keep in mind, that's the starting line, right? You get awarded the money. That's the big part. You get the game started. You get awarded the funding, similar to what Flaherty and Collins got several years ago on the south side of the square, and the old City Hall and the duplexes, one's right across from your house, things like that. They were awarded tax credits at that time, okay? That was for 55 and plus senior housing. This award is for family housing. It's for all ages, so there's no discrimination against, aging or things like that. Mm-hmm. So they were awarded tax credits, and those townhomes that will be eventually constructed will be sitting right here where we're sitting, here on the grounds of the City Hall.
Okay.
They will also be 3 townhomes at 106 and 112. Now, I mentioned we have 102 and 104.
Yes.
So you get where I'm going here.
Yeah.
The reason, there's always a reason. Sure, we wanted to preserve a historic cornerstone of the downtown square. Mm-hmm. It's also the gateway as you come onto the downtown square. Mm-hmm. And quite frankly, there needed to be a substantial investment. This wasn't a fixer-upper, right? Wasn't something somebody was going to come in and get and then throw, a little bit of money into it and call it a day. This was a substantial investment because we knew of the long-term plan, the bird's eye view, circling back to the comprehensive plan. You get to the big picture, and then you can start piecing these things together. So the reason why 102 and 104 is at a stop right now is because this company was awarded And we were going to enter discussions with this company to see if they would be interested.
Okay.
You're going to own the rest of the block.
Yeah.
Why not the corner, essentially? So I'm probably speaking prematurely there on some of that stuff, but I'm also being transparent. That's the reality. It's not that we're just going to let it sit. Well, why do they just this and that? There's always a reason why. So we'll come. We hope we can work out an agreement, maybe it's a duo, maybe it's a public-private partnership. Maybe once again it's where the free market and private enterprise partners with that big bad government, and we make something beneficial that will be here for decades to come, just like the buildings are. So, I really believe in community development. You have to be appreciative of the past and try to restore as much as you can, but there's also a time for renewal as well. You have to have a healthy mix of new construction and then the historic past, which is what we're trying to do right here on this block. So stay tuned for future development of this site and many other projects over the coming months here in the year 2023.
Which will be a great year.
It's going to be a great year. It's going to be huge. You're going to love it. Don't worry about the details. You're going to love it.
Our monthly chat with the mayor is brought to you by our good friends at Judy Mills Country Financial Service, 21 North Court Street, right across the street from right here in the City Hall. See Brian and Gina for all of your insurance and financial needs, and they'll be glad to visit with you. Give them a call to set up an appointment today. Well, we have an event coming up here in the next weekend called the Dueling Pianos.
Dueling Pianos.
Which is a 2-night event.
Was it 8th annual, 9th annual, something like that?
But it's a 2-night event. So you got Friday and Saturday to go. The Heart of Sullivan puts this on. You talk about organizations that have made a nice impact on the community.
Oh, yeah.
You're kind of to mention the chamber, but that's another one.
The Heart of Sullivan
has been a very important part of progress here in Sullivan.
Sure, absolutely. So, yeah, I know everybody's excited. Everybody's looking forward to it. The Dueling Pianos from the Brick House Dueling Pianos out of Indianapolis make their long-awaited return, or their one-year-awaited return to the City of Sullivan. It's going to be happening on February 10th and 11th at the Sullivan Civic Center. So it's been such a popular event, John, that they would sell out on tickets. So they decided to do it 2 nights. So you can be sure to get your tickets, or you can purchase a table, which includes tickets for all your friends or all your company or whatever the case may be. And you can get those, I believe, by going to the Heart of Sullivan Dueling Pianos Facebook page. If you go to the Heart of Sullivan Facebook page, I know you can get guided and directed to that page so you can get online. I believe there's an Eventbrite or some type of a ticket link that you can go. And there's also a couple locations here in Sullivan. So check out the Facebook page for all the details. The Heart of Sullivan, hardworking volunteers.
Sure.
Right? It's not like they're getting paid to do all these things. They put on the Downtown Christmas. They put on the Dueling Pianos. They do the Taste of Sullivan every year, and so many more little things along the way that people don't always even see. But they're great supporters of downtown. They're the cheerleader of downtown Sullivan, so be sure to check them out. It's a great time. You and I have been many times, almost every year. And to know you're doing it all to benefit the continued progress in downtown Sullivan.
But if you've never been, you really should try to go to one of the 2 nights. It is a wonderful time. These people are extremely talented. Not only do they play the pianos extremely well, they can sing very well. It is a very, very nice event. I mean, it's just a total amount of fun.
Yeah.
So if you haven't been, you really need to go.
Yeah, definitely. And no excuses, because you can go Friday once again, February the 10th, or Saturday, February the 11th. So, no, we always mention them. We really appreciate the hard work that the Heart of Sullivan does. And it's a lot of time. It's a lot of heavy lifting, and it's always just a handful of people that seem to do it all. So definitely let them know how much you appreciate them. Check out their Facebook page for all the details. So once again, you can get your tickets online, or I believe there are several locations throughout the community that you can walk in and purchase your tickets. So February 10th and 11th at the Sullivan Civic Center, located in beautiful downtown Sullivan.
While we have a moment here, I do want to remind everyone that the Chamber of Commerce's annual banquet will be on March 16th. So that's a Thursday at the Civic Center, of course. And we're looking forward to having you be with us on the 16th. And we look forward to having a big crowd for that. We're going to have a wonderful featured speaker. We're going to have a meal catered by Union Station Cafe.
Nice.
We're excited about John
Good stuff.
being a part of it. Super gentleman, and he's got just a wonderful restaurant over
Fork in the road, tenderloin.
Yeah, I know. Have you had that?
Oh, I won't get anything else.
Oh, it's awesome.
And I go over there and I see all this food come out, right? For all these different the different meals, and I'm like, oh, that looks good, but I can't cheat on the tenderloin.
Yeah.
I just can't seem to veer off the tenderloin. So
You can't get nothing wrong there.
you can tell I should probably stuff a few of those breaded tenderloins.
But be
Speaking of bread and
contact the Chamber of Commerce today. Brandy will give you all the details about the banquet. Tickets will be available very, very soon for that event, so we're very much looking forward to that. Yes.
You're ridiculous. Look what you've done.
Yes. Okay, well, as we jump the shark here,
Yeah.
our monthly chat with the mayor is coming to you live from City Hall. We think maybe for the last time, but we don't know for sure. We're not going to say for sure.
We're changing the slogan from "Take time to care." You know what it's going to be?
What's that?
We can't guarantee it, but we'll give it our best shot.
T-shirts are being made today.
Be sure to order your T-shirt. Sullivan, Indiana. We can't guarantee it, but we'll give it our best shot.
Let's talk about other things that may be going on
Sure.
in 2023, Clint, that you want maybe people to know about. Or,
I needed to make this announcement today for the City of Sullivan. This is Brownfield's community-wide assessment grant. The City of Sullivan was awarded again. We keep winning, and everybody's tired of winning. I was telling you about how it's so hard to win the first time, but the continuation of winning continues, which is true. The City of Sullivan has been awarded a $700,000 Brownfield community-wide assessment grant by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, to be conducted over a period of 4 years. The grant covers efforts to identify, inventory, and prioritize brownfield sites in Sullivan. There's a lot of things here. Mm-hmm. These are up to phase 1, phase 2 assessments. But here's the deal. Okay. I always say, here's the deal. You want me to summarize this?
Yeah, here's the deal.
I'm not always good at short summaries, but right. I will try to summarize this. Bottom line is this. The City of Sullivan is and we're experiencing a wide array of development. And not just today, there's going to be some future development. You see development down on South Section Street. Mm-hmm. You see houses being constructed all over the city, not just in one particular site. Right. And then you're going to see further development. I assure you, some things that are in the works that we'll be talking about here at a later date. Mm-hmm. But we got to make sure that they all have a clean bill of health, right? You got to make sure that these properties aren't contaminated, because the City of Sullivan, was established in 1853, right? So a few things have come and gone. We go back to the downtown square. That's not the original downtown square.
Right.
Right. Matter of fact, it was a frog pond. Did you realize that?
I did not know that.
There were a lot of frogs in the downtown, like in the early 1800s, 1700s. I was there.
Yeah.
I remember. I used to go down there and do frog gigging, and horrible joke.
Yeah.
That was terrible. Absolutely atrocious.
Okay.
So, anyway, but over time, the downtown has evolved. So, but point being is, things continue to recycle. Mm. Things don't stay the same, right? Regardless. Maybe we think they might. But the EPA grant will come in and it will help identify some properties and make sure that there's money there to assess the needs and make sure that there could be some money to help clean up, to pave the way for future growth, right? Yeah. So very important. While people say, oh, how exciting is an EPA grant? Who really cares? Mm-hmm. Well, it's the foundation, right? Before you can build the house, you have to have the foundation. Mm-hmm. And that's what a lot of folks don't always realize, that's what mayors do. They sit here and do sometimes it's fun and glamorous when we're dancing at dueling pianos, right? And we're working with the Heart of Sullivan, or we're at the Snowball, or we're having exciting times, or we're eating ice cream at your ice cream social, or we're splashing at the Sullivan City Pool. That's the fun part about being mayor. And that's the fun part about city, but you also have to go through the basics, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what we do here in the City of Sullivan. We try to get back to the basics and do everything we can. So there's the kind of an unofficial announcement for the EPA. If there are further things that I was supposed to read publicly for notice, Elena, I hope you're watching. You can remind me. Next week next month, we might visit that again. So yeah,
let's talk about new sidewalks. When will we start that up again?
Well, they're not sidewalks. It's the Solid Greenway system.
Yes.
Okay. I will stone cold stunner you right here in front of everybody. Kick, go down. Okay, I won't. Don't sing it, bring it. Anyway, can you smell what John's cooking? The Sullivan Greenway system. So we were awarded, obviously, the money to do the Lover's Lane Loop. Then we were awarded from the Indiana Department of Transportation another expansion and extension of the Sullivan Greenway system, which connects our 1968 established Sullivan County Park and Lake to the downtown area. We'll go on the north side of the square. I know we've said this before, but I know they tell you that you have to tell things 7 times before people remember, and I think it's 70. Yeah. So here's number 57. We have 13 more times to tell you, because once we get started, we'll get calls at City Hall. What are they doing on? Well, you must have missed 58 and 59 reminder. We were at a meeting not too long ago, and we'll talk about this, the Sullivan Senior Center, and the lady said, well, I wasn't sure about the meeting, or I heard about the meeting, this and that. And I said, if you can figure out how to notify everybody, I said, we're on television. We have a radio show. We're on social media. We send newsletters directly to your home. Mm-hmm. I said, other than the mayor going door to door every Friday,
have to knock on everybody's door
and let them know what's going on. It really is. I've always said we live in a world where we're connected more than ever, and we're the most misinformed and uninformed we've ever been. But anyway, that's another entire show of itself. Yes. So that happened at the Sullivan Senior Center. Remind me to get to that. But back to the squirrel. Yeah. Back to the squirrels playing in the county park and lake. We're trying to get those squirrels out of there and into the downtown. No, the residents, the visitors out there, they're not squirrels. Did I just call them squirrels?
Yes, you did.
A lot of nervous energy here this morning. No, the people that was out there, established in 1968, we've all seen the growth, and we know the impact that the Sullivan County Park and Lake brings to the local economy and the visitors that it brings. Well, we want to get those folks out of their golf cart city and into our city. Absolutely. Right. So that's part of the trail. And we've talked about this many times before. It goes back to the 1980 plan that used to hang on this wall over here, where it says the Ball State plan that came with Mayor Donnelly and suggested that, hey, for your downtown to really grow, you need to find a way to connectivity, to connect the Sullivan County Park and Lake with safe and pedestrian means of travel. So here we are, 43 years later. Finally, that should start. The bid letting will be this September of 2023. Bid letting, that doesn't mean construction starts. Right. That's the bid letting. They'll let bids. They'll come up. They'll find a contractor. So we're hoping I hope that starts before December 31st, before the end of the year. But it should be over the winter months. Also, going back to the announcement from the IHCDA, the $14 million housing, I said that's the starting line when you get awarded. But the finish line really doesn't come until probably this winter when construction can start, because there's a lot of different moving pieces to that as well. A lot of different funding sources with investors, the IHCDA, home loans, ready money. And you have to take all those dollars and put them together, and each one of them has their own amount of red tape. So long story short, the developer's hoping to close on all their financing and their funding sources this fall, right? So you close in the fall, and then hopefully get started construction. So, and that's the hard part about this job, because you get excited because you get to announce it, the money, but a lot of these things don't happen right away, and it takes time. So, back to the hotel. We hope to get a shovel on the ground this summer, right? Yep. We hope to get a shovel on the ground for this 40 housing units and $14 million worth of housing this winter. We hope to get a shovel on the ground after the September letting for the trail that goes out to the Sullivan County Park and Lake this year. So those are some things that I feel optimistic that it can happen. Yeah. And they are going to happen. It's just a matter of timing when. Yeah. So, yeah.
This is a monthly chat with the mayor. Our mayor, Clint Lamb, kind enough to be with us here every first Friday of the month. It's all brought to you by your friends at Judah Mills Country Financial Services, 21 North Court Street right here in Sullivan. Well, Clint, as we close out our show here on this first Friday in February, do you want to plug what's going to be happening later on today?
Sure, yeah. So, we talked a lot about a lot of things here on the show this morning and all of the great things going on in the community. And we always have major announcements and special announcements and things like that. So, little plug, please, on your lunch break, or if you're home today, please check in at around 12:30. We're going to be live streaming from the Sullivan Civic Center today at 12:30. And going to be talking to some of our friends from the local press. There will be a special announcement. It's really all I'll say about it right now. We'd even talked about moving the morning show, the First Friday Chat, to 12:30, but we wanted to come in because there were so many other things to cover, right? This today, February 3rd, at 12:30, coming to you live from the Sullivan Civic Center. You're more than welcome to stop by if you want. It's not really necessarily a public event, but we will be live streaming, and we will be talking to our friends at the local media today at 12:30. A special announcement from me.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, this has been our monthly chat with the mayor, brought to you by Gina Mills Country Financial Services right here in Sullivan. It's been a pleasure, my friend.
Been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for what you continue to do. Thank you to all our civic organizations, and most importantly, the hardworking citizens and the people of this community that absolutely love Sullivan just as much as I do, just as much as John does. We appreciate you, and you are the reason. You're the driving force of why this thing's so special. Remember, it's not just special, it's Sullivan special. Have a great weekend, and thank you. We'll see you back again at 12:30 live from the Sullivan Civic Center.
All right, this has been a monthly chat with the mayor, brought to you by Gina Mills Country Financial Services. Party line in a moment.